Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the weapon engineering skill in Starfield. I'll cover some of the basic aspects of the skill and what it actually does, as well as talk about a few tips in terms of like leveling it up to rank 4, some other complementary skills you might want to consider leveling up as well in addition to the weapon engineering skill, and then finally just kind of demonstrating some impacts that using this actually has on the weapons in the game. So starting out, just taking a look at the skill tree and where this is located. So this is under the science branch under tier 2 here. We've got weapon engineering. Obviously it's got 4 ranks like all the other skills, but as you level this up, it's basically just going to unlock bigger and better mods that you can research and craft and apply to your weapons. So as we get down to rank 4, that unlocks master level weapon mods. Backing out, there are a couple complementary skills as well. Not required, but just something to keep in mind, like research methods. As you level that up, it's just going to decrease the amount of resources required to research and craft these things. So that's a route you can take if you're interested in that. And then also special projects. So you'll probably want to get this to at least rank 1. That unlocks the ability to research experimental projects at the research lab. After that, it's not really related. It's just unlocking additional components that you can craft in the industrial workbench. But this will block some weapon mods and I think other like spacesuit mods as well. So you'll probably want to at least get that to rank 1 if you want to complete this to 100%. Now looking at how to actually use the skill. So this is going to be split in kind of 2 different phases. First, you've got the research phase where you figure out, how to build these mods and whatnot. Once you've unlocked that, then you can actually go to the workbench, build the mod, and apply it to your weapon. So starting off with the research phase, we'll go to the research lab to do that. Here you can research other things as well, aside from just weapons, but we are focused on weaponry right now, so we'll click into that. You can see we've got 4 projects available. As we click in, you can see all of the previous projects that I've already completed and information about each one. If we scroll down, you can see here are the 4 that are available currently. Looking at an individual mod, you can see the required skills in the top middle. So we need weapon engineering of rank 3. And then as mentioned for this one, we need that special projects rank 1 as well. Down at the bottom middle is the required materials. So if we click into this, we can look at a little bit more. So here are all those materials and how much is required for each one. You also have the description, just kind of tells you what you're working on. And then down here, that kind of tracks your materials as well. So 0 of 8 right now, so our input amount is 0. So if we add, let's say 4, so now we have 4. So we're kind of working that, it's kind of in progress. We can then add the additional 4, and now that portion of it is complete. So as we go down the list here, you can see we've got enough for each one of these. In our inventory, we've got 36 Eterbium. So we can kind of go down the list. One aspect of this as well, so you can see this sudden development. That's sort of a game mechanic that plays out quite a bit in this whole research portion of the game. So what that does basically is just sort of a random bonus that you'll get that will carry over to another resource that you need. So you can see here we got a +1 to titanium. So now if we go back, we were at 0 of 16 for titanium, but that sudden development decreased that requirement by 1. So we can then add the additional 15, go to polymer, and we got another sudden development where we got +2 adhesive. So here, this can kind of be a sort of a nice tip of how to go about researching these if you don't have the full required resource. If you start with what you have the most abundance of, you might end up at the end where you had 0 resources for a particular mod, but you ended up not needing it because you're getting these sudden developments. So sort of keep that in mind, just sort of work with what you have the most of first rather than just going from like top down in that order. Sort of look around and see what you have the most abundant resources, because those sudden developments might carry over to a resource that you're sort of depleted in. So anyways, if we go back and confirm that, so now we've researched and completed that mod. So now we have the ability to attach muzzle mod 3 at the weapons workbench if we want to do that. So kind of going back to, if we back out to the complementary skills that we were talking about, again, if this is one path you want to go down, looking at the research methods, you see at rank 4, sudden developments during research are twice as common. Resources required to craft items, complete research is reduced by 60%. So if you do want to go down that path, this can kind of reduce the requirements quite a bit, especially if you get those sudden developments as well. once you get to the point where you've basically gone through and unlocked everything that there is to unlock, if we go back to the research lab, just sort of for your own peace of mind, I guess, it will flag and let you know that all research is complete for that category. So under weaponry, we've got 0 available projects, and you can see everything listed here is completed. There's about 20 total mods that you can unlock with the weapon engineering skill. And then obviously if you skip around, you can see the other different categories that are still in progress, but that's all complete now. Now moving over to the workbench, now that we've kind of done all of our research, we've got all of our mods unlocked, we can now start building these and working on adding these to guns. So if we go to the weapon workbench and open that up, we're gonna have a little bit of a different UI that we're gonna be taking a look at. Kind of the main part is the middle section where this is just all of the list of weapons that you have currently on your inventory. So you can see these are all the weapons that I have, and then in the upper left corner for each weapon we'll have its stats and information and things like that. So one call out there, so you have accuracy and range and things like that, but also the number of mods that are available for each gun. So for example, like this one has 1 of 8, that's 1 of 7, 5 of 7. So you can kind of see what mods are already attached, how many are available, and then the list of which ones are on there as well, kind of below that. So taking a look at a weapon itself, if we click into that, then we can start messing with each one of those mods. So this one has 8 available: barrel, optic, muzzle, grip and stock, laser, magazine, battery. Skin is, from my understanding, pretty limited in the game. I haven't really come across any skins. The one I do have is for the Equinox, and I think I got this for pre-ordering, but I've got this Constellation skin. So you can technically equip gun skins in this game, but again, I think it's fairly limited to like the pre-order skin, and if there are other ones, I'm not super aware. So if you are aware, let me know in the comments. But anyways, going back to the actual stuff. So if we click in to like laser, we'll have like we could add the laser sight here. That's going to tell you how much it's going to cost to craft it and apply it. So we can confirm that and put the laser on there. And then also you can see the impact that that's having to the stats as well. So it'll tell you description. So under the weapon image, marks enemies while aiming, greatly increases accuracy. You can see that reflected in the actual raw stats as well. So with no mod, the accuracy is 70.2%. With this mod, it's 72.2%. So you can kind of track that there as well. A couple other things. So I won't go through all of this, obviously, but depending on the weapon, certain mods will be available. So for example, there may be a mod that you can apply to a sniper rifle, but you can't apply to a pistol, for example. So it's going to be kind of dependent on the weapon type that you're working on. So for like this heavy weapon, this is going to have a different list of available attachments. So like iron sight and short scope, where if we find a sniper rifle of some kind, I'm sure I've got one in here somewhere. So here's a sniper rifle. If we go to the optic here, we've got long scope, medium scope, recon scope, etc. And you can see the various benefits of that. So again, I'm not going to go through all of this in too much detail. I'll show some examples of weapon builds and whatnot, but that's sort of how you play around with attaching mods, building mods. Each time you do it, again, you're going to have to make sure that you have the resources available to craft that and apply it. So even if you like remove something, if you want to put it back on, you're still going to have to make sure that you have the resources available to reapply it, essentially. In terms of leveling up the skill and getting it to rank 4, it's pretty quick and straightforward. The biggest bottleneck really is just going to be making sure that you have enough resources to do it. So if we look at the weapon engineering skill, right now I'm trying to get to rank 4, and I need to craft 30 weapon mods. So each rank, it's just going to have you craft a required number of weapon mods. So 0 of 30 right now. I've been doing a lot of this work just in the basement of the lodge. It's already got everything laid out there for you and all right next to each other. So here is a workbench for weapons, research lab, and then there's also a chest here where I basically just throw all my resources in here so they're there and handy whenever I need them. So if we go in and just take all of these, what's also nice is you can just throw these all in your inventory. We don't need to walk very far, so the weight is kind of irrelevant. So if we take all that, you can see I'm at 1,500 weight already, but again, we don't have very far to walk, so we can just walk up to the workbench with all these resources and then just really craft weapon mods. So look for something that has a small amount of resource requirement, something like a barrel, for example. So if we go into this weapon and look here, so a short barrel and the upper right is 1 nickel and 1 iron. So let's, install that, and then go back to a standard barrel, which is 1 iron, 1 sealant, and just sort of bounce back and forth and just keep doing that. Again, assuming you have the resources, this will go very quickly. So you can see I'm at 8 of 30, and just do that until you get to 30 of 30, and that will unlock the next tier for your level. Also, real quick, just a note on resources. If you're limited on resources, or if you're wondering where all these resources are coming from, you obviously can farm for them on planets and mine them and things like that, but in my opinion, the easiest thing is just to go buy them if you haven't done that yet. So most cities have general stores, trade authority. You can just probably Google places to buy resources in Starfield, and there'll be a list of all the different planets that have stores and things like that. But you can get them, again, fairly cheap, fairly available. Just go to those stores, buy out all their resources, and then bring them back to the lodge. And like what I'm doing, I just put them all in this this chest here. So I've got them all. I've got 4,000 weight on me right now. Just go in here, store all resources, and then I just have them in this chest for when I need them. All right, so now I just kind of wanted to go through a handful of attachments and just kind of demonstrate what they do. Again, I'm not going to go through everything because a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory. It increases accuracy, lowers ADS speed, just general stat improvements, damage increases, things like that. So I would recommend kind of spending some time, though, when you get new weapons, going through and seeing what's available, because you might miss something because it's only available for a certain weapon type, as I mentioned. But with that said, there are some that are kind of more unique than others. So starting off, kind of one is the laser attachment, and that has sort of a special ability with the recon laser sight. So you can see this one marks enemies while aiming. So we'll get that equipped and then kind of demonstrate what that actually does in a fight. So here we are with our recon laser attachment and getting ready to engage some enemies. So I can kind of demonstrate what this does. So I think we got some guys up here somewhere. Where they got? There you are. So you can see it now highlights his body. You can actually see it through walls as well. So you can still track him. See, he's right there. And it does last, I think, like 10 seconds and it'll disappear. But still, kind of a cool feature that you can add to your gun. Next, just a quick mention about suppressors. So those can be found under the muzzle attachment. So for example, here, this gun has a suppressor under there. And really, I mean, that's just going to decrease the sound of your weapon for stealth purposes and whatnot. Also, kind of important to note that that does have an ability impact in terms of your stealth skill. So you can see when you max this out, you can see suppressed weapons do an additional 20% sneak damage. So there's an option to add that to your weapons too. And then finally, the last one I kind of wanted to touch on in detail, which I think, to me, in my opinion, is kind of the most fun, is the magazine and battery category. So and again, side note, there are like the internal and the receiver ones will have various things as well, like increasing your fire rate. Receiver, you can change burst fire, semi-automatic, fully automatic. So there's those as well. But going back to magazine and battery, this I think is where a lot of the fun enhancements come from. So like there's all these various different rounds, and again, depending on what weapon you look at, you're gonna have different options. So like this has white hot rounds. There's magazine capacity, obviously, but that's kind of boring. Explosive rounds, armor piercing rounds, that's just going to increase damage, I think. But this one, for example, if you go into the magazine and battery, it has a thing called Hornet's Nest, which explosive rounds explode downwards into a cluster of mini explosions. It's got Tesla pylons. So each gun, depending on what you're looking at, has kind of its own unique set of magazine and battery mods. So this one has uranium rounds, and there's some other fun ones in there as well. So again, I'd recommend spending some time when you have new guns, taking a look and seeing what's available there. Demonstrating a couple of these here real quick. This is the Hornet's Nest ammo. You can see you got that, which is pretty cool. This is the Tesla pylons. Also pretty cool. You can stun people and whatnot. And then here are the white hot rounds, which just kind of gives it an additional burning effect to the weapon. So all pretty cool. And obviously there's others as well, but just kind of giving you an example of the various enhancements that you can do to these weapons. All right, so I'll probably wrap things up with that. Hopefully this is sort of a good introductory video to get familiar with all the various systems of the weapon engineering skill, working through the user interfaces and unlocking everything and whatnot and how to go about that. Overall, I think it's kind of a fun system. It's not the most in-depth weapon building, weapon modding system in the world. And it's certainly not required skill. You can get by through the whole game without needing to mod weapons, but it is kind of a fun system, being able to add new ammo types and find new weapons and then improve them with all the attachments and whatnot. So if you're interested in that aspect, I think it's worth putting in the skills, but again, it's by no means sort of a required skill to get through the game. So anyways, hopefully this is all helpful for you. Thanks for watching, and we will see you later. Bye.